How often have you felt like an imposter, that you might have been an imposter, or that you suffered from the imposter syndrome and that was your difficulty? Yeah, I did that too for probably more than 10 years because I saw a talk on the imposter syndrome about where we have these ideas about who we might think we are, and we couldn't possibly do that. We're an imposter. And then you discover that that is a trick that your mind is playing on you, because you wouldn't have the idea of what you were possibly meant to do in your life unless it was real. But then, if you can believe that you are just suffering from the imposter syndrome, then you won't have to do it. And that's what I did as well. But you could change that today, because the day is the day you could evolve. You see, that imposter syndrome is something that we all carry because we're trying to evolve. And we need some push, a little bit of anxiety sometimes, that we will move over the barrier that we've placed in front of ourselves because we think or we believe that we're suffering from the imposter syndrome. And I can say that because I thought I was. And I thought I was out of my mind a lot of the time, too. How can I be thinking these things? You've probably had that, and you might have had it recently, because your mind is expanding now, because the world is doing that. And so then we will move into different areas of experience as a human that we have never seen before. And so then we could continue to think that we are some sort of an imposter. Or we might believe that things are happening in our lives or the world accidentally, and so this couldn't be real. And we find that that's never true either. And so today on my site, and I'd love for you to have this, because you will see and you will understand today that you have never been an imposter, and today might be the day that you move over that barrier and decide to accept yourself, because that's what we're meant to do. And that's when we can let go of this idea. We're each meant to become something new and different, but that could be your problem also. And so, because what you're becoming and what you dreamed about your entire life is brand new, it's easy to say you're being an imposter, because then you won't have to do it. And that's a game that we play with ourselves, and I've done it for many years. But then you discover something else, that whatever you went through was still worth it. It was still valuable. Even if you doubted yourself, even if you had fear, even if you didn't believe anything, it was still valuable, because you're human. And so you came to live experiences that you could learn something and then give that to others. That's what we all do. And that is how we evolve if we choose to do that. But in order to do that, we have to get over the belief that we might be an imposter. And I'm going to help you do that today, because I have to get over that belief that I was an imposter as well. Because, like you, I was doing something we hadn't seen before. And you're supposed to do the same thing. And then your children, or whoever comes later, will do something more than you could do. That's how we all evolve. But it doesn't happen if we stay afraid and don't own who we are and believe in the imposter syndrome. So I will help you. And as you go to the site, what we have discovered and what Wilhelm has given me, that there's an organization in our world that we come to understand, and you are part of it. And it's not possible that you are not. It's not possible for any human to not be a part of the creation of our world. We just don't always understand our role, or we won't accept it because we think we might be faking it, or we are an imposter. You are not. It's a process of evolution, and that takes time, and we all do it. We just do it in different ways. And as you go to the site, any advice for today, this is what you will see. The day you evolve. And there is a replay here of a session, a Wilhelm session that was done on October 30th of 2021, where you will hear everything that is occurring now that was explained. Everything about the work that Wilhelm has given us was explained. Everything about my life and why I healed and what this work did was explained. But you might not have heard it because I was still believing in the imposter syndrome. I could not have possibly done that. But then you'll see something else. Especially if you live in the United States, this would be really helpful for you. It's your role in the evolution of the world. Wilhelm gave us all the information about what was happening in our world now, and especially related to the United States, which we've seen so many things that are occurring on this day. But as you read through this document, you will begin to understand so much more of it and your role, because you are the one who is here to create something if you decide that you're going to become who you're meant to be. But then you'll see something else. So my years of doubting and being really confused about who I was turned into this. And so you could do the same thing, because if you are paying attention to what you've done, you'll start to understand that you've done something wonderful. We all do if we are willing to look at it, but sometimes that becomes challenging. This document will help you because it'll explain this process we all move through of evolving, of personal development, of self-actualization, of ascension, or whatever term you might think of it as. We all do it. It just depends on how we do it. But the one thing that you will see, we all do it in our thoughts, in our consciousness. And the very first message on 2008 that you will read is talking about you were intending to control your thoughts. That's the only way that we create our lives and we create our world. But over time, we do that in different ways. And we're moving through a time now where more of us are meant to remember our worth and value, and that's how things change. As you read that document, it will make more sense to you. However, we don't always believe that. I didn't believe it either. And so then we have to move, though. When we don't move and take that next step, nothing changes. But we can become afraid, and I did that, so I do understand. But now I'm finishing this work because, as you will read in that document, all of my doubt and fear turned into the first verified consciousness raising system in history, the most cohesive, intelligent philosophy that has ever been created. I thought, how could that have happened? And you will hear in that session 4 years ago, I still doubted it then. I no longer do that because everything is healed. Everything has changed. And I just happened to develop a different skill, and you could do the same thing. And once we own that, then our lives change, and so will the world. But enjoy this, because you are not an imposter, and you are here to do something, and it's just a matter of doing what I did, and it was every day changing my mind, sitting down and receiving this information so that I could give it to you. You have a valuable purpose that is here today, and you can evolve today. See you soon.